Life at the palace had become peaceful and fulfilling for John and Princess Leora. With each passing day, their efforts to bridge the gap between humans and aliens grew stronger, bringing prosperity and harmony to both worlds. Despite their achievements, John often wondered about his future role. He was committed to helping Leora, but uncertainty sometimes lingered in his thoughts. One clear morning, Leora called John to meet her in the Great Hall. The sunlight streamed through tall windows, casting bright patterns across the marble floors. Elder Talon and Ambassador Simmons were already there, their faces warm with quiet smiles. "John, you've done so much for our worlds," Leora began softly, her voice gentle and full of gratitude. "Your wisdom and compassion have truly united our peoples," John smiled humbly. "Thank you, Leora, but it has always been a team effort. Together, we've achieved much more than I ever imagined." Elder Talon stepped forward, nodding slowly. "We understand your dedication, John. That is why today we offer you a special honor, a permanent role as Ambassador of Earth, living here with us. You would be our trusted advisor and a respected leader in your own right." John was speechless, overwhelmed by the honor they were giving him. Ambassador Simmons smiled encouragingly, clearly pleased with the decision. I don't know what to say," John finally responded, deeply moved. "It will be my honor to serve in such a role." Leora's eyes sparkled brightly with happiness. "Then it's settled. Your acceptance brings great joy and hope for our shared future." Days quickly turned into weeks as John embraced his new role fully. He helped organize ongoing exchanges of ideas, knowledge, and culture, always working closely with Leora. Their friendship deepened further, built upon mutual respect, trust, and admiration. One evening, Leora invited John to join her on the palace balcony overlooking the city. The stars glittered brilliantly overhead, lighting their faces with a soft glow. "I've been thinking," Leora began quietly, gazing thoughtfully into the distance. "Our friendship has shaped so much of our lives and worlds. But I have realized something more important, something more personal." John looked at her carefully, sensing the deep sincerity in her voice. "What is it, Leora?" She turned slowly toward him, her eyes gentle yet intense. "You have become more than just a trusted advisor and friend to me, John. You've become someone very dear, someone I deeply care for." John felt his heart skip, her words resonating deeply within him. He took a deep breath, meeting her eyes sincerely. "Leora, I felt the same. Being by your side has shown me not only how to build connections between our worlds, but also how much I value you personally." Leora smiled softly, clearly relieved and happy at his response. She reached out and gently took his hand. "Then, perhaps we have found something even more precious than peace and unity, a true and lasting bond." John squeezed her hand gently, warmth spreading through him. "Yes, Leora. Together we've not only connected two worlds, but also found something rare and meaningful between us." In the weeks following their revelation, John and Leora's relationship grew stronger, deepening their personal bond while they continued their work. Their closeness inspired others, further strengthening the unity between their peoples. One special day, a grand celebration was held in the palace gardens, attended by representatives from both worlds. Beautiful music, bright lights, and joyful voices filled the air. Elder Talon and Ambassador Simmons stood together, watching proudly as John and Leora addressed the crowd side by side. Leora spoke first, her voice confident yet warm. "Today we celebrate more than our alliance. We celebrate understanding, respect, and friendship. And we celebrate love, a force powerful enough to unite even the most different worlds." John added warmly, his voice filled with genuine emotion. "It is our greatest hope that the bond we share inspires everyone to continue working together, fostering peace and harmony for generations to come." As applause filled the air, John turned to Leora, smiling with deep affection. Their eyes met, reflecting joy, gratitude, and the quiet promise of a future they would build together. Late that night, under the clear starlit sky, John and Leora walked slowly through the peaceful gardens. They spoke softly, sharing dreams of the future, their hearts filled with hope and happiness. "Did you ever imagine we'd reach this moment?" Leora asked softly, her voice thoughtful. John smiled, warmly, shaking his head slightly. "Never in my wildest dreams. Yet being here with you feels perfectly right." Leora squeezed his hand gently, her eyes shining brightly. "Together, we will face whatever comes. Our worlds united, our hearts joined, we will build a lasting legacy." John nodded earnestly, looking deep into her eyes. "Together, always." Under the gentle glow of stars, John and Leora continued walking side by side, confident in their shared future, a future filled with love, unity, and endless possibilities. As their spaceship traveled back to Princess Leora's home planet, John felt mixed emotions. The diplomatic mission had been a great success, but uncertainty filled him about the future. Leora sat quietly beside him, also lost in her own thoughts, her emerald eyes reflecting the glow of distant stars outside the ship's window. "Are you worried about returning home?" John asked gently, breaking the silence. Leora nodded slightly. "A little. So much has changed. My council supports me now, but I fear there could still be opposition." John smiled softly. "You have already overcome the greatest obstacles. You'll handle whatever comes next just as well." Leora looked at him gratefully. "Your belief in me gives me courage, John." The ship finally landed, and they were warmly welcomed home by Ambassador Simmons and Elder Talon. Both leaders praised the successful Earth mission. The mood in the palace was hopeful and excited, with everyone eager to see the positive changes that would come from the new alliance. Days turned into weeks, and life returned to a calmer routine. Leora was busy implementing new ideas learned from Earth, while John continued his work, ensuring smooth communication between their worlds. Yet, despite the peace, John often sensed tension beneath the calm surface. One evening, while John was organizing documents in his room, an urgent knock came at his door. Opening it quickly, he found a young palace guard, looking worried. "John, you must come quickly," the guard said urgently. "Princess Leora has requested you immediately. There's trouble in the council chamber." John hurried down the corridors, anxiety building inside him. When he entered the chamber, he found Leora facing several council members who appeared angry and defiant. Elder Talon stood nearby, looking troubled. Leora's voice was calm but firm. "I understand your concerns, but the alliance with Earth is essential for our future. Change is difficult, but we must be brave enough to embrace it." One council member stepped forward, his eyes hard with resistance. "This alliance risks our identity and traditions. You are too influenced by the human, John Carter." John felt his heart tighten, understanding that their criticism was directed at him personally. He took a deep breath and stepped forward calmly. "Please, listen to me," John began respectfully. "My purpose here is only to support cooperation and understanding. Our worlds can learn from each other, growing stronger together." Another council member interrupted harshly. "We do not need humans dictating our future." Leora held up her hand sharply, silencing the room. "John has never dictated anything. He has shown respect, courage, and wisdom. His advice has helped, never harmed." The room grew quiet. Elder Talon finally spoke softly, addressing the council. "Princess Leora speaks truthfully. Our fears must not blind us to the benefits we've gained." Slowly, tension eased, and the council members reluctantly agreed to consider Leora's words. After they dispersed, Leora and John stood alone, feeling emotionally drained but relieved. "I'm sorry you faced such hostility." "John," Leora said quietly, concern evident in her eyes. John shook his head gently. "Don't apologize. These discussions are necessary, though difficult. They show how much your people care about their future." Leora smiled softly, clearly comforted by his understanding. "You see hope even in the darkest moments. It amazes me." John smiled warmly back. Because I have faith in you and your leadership. The following weeks passed quietly, the palace gradually becoming peaceful again. John and Leora worked tirelessly, continuing to build stronger bonds between their worlds. Soon, noticeable changes appeared. Trade and cultural exchanges flourished, bringing prosperity and new opportunities. One day, Leora invited John for a private walk in the palace gardens. As they walked slowly among the blooming flowers and exotic plants, Leora seemed thoughtful and quiet. Something on your mind? John asked softly, sensing her hesitation. Leora stopped and turned toward him, her expression gentle but serious. I've been considering our future. Your presence here has changed everything, including me. John waited quietly, sensing the importance of her words. I wish for you to stay here permanently, she continued softly. Not just as a diplomat, but as my personal advisor and friend. Your insights and kindness have become essential to me. John felt a rush of warmth, deeply moved by her request. Leora, nothing would make me happier. I'll gladly remain by your side for as long as you'll have me. Leora's eyes sparkled with joy and relief. Thank you, John. Together, we'll continue building the future both our worlds deserve. In the peaceful silence of the gardens, they shared a moment of quiet understanding, their bond stronger than ever. Though challenges surely lay ahead, John knew they would face them together, driven by mutual trust, respect, and the hope of a brighter future for everyone. Preparations for the journey to Earth began swiftly. Princess Leora, excited and nervous, spent hours learning about Earth's customs, traditions, and politics. John was always by her side, explaining details, answering her questions patiently, and helping her understand the complexities of human life. The bond between them grew stronger with each day, built upon mutual respect and genuine friendship. The palace buzzed with activity. Ambassador Simmons worked tirelessly to ensure everything was organized perfectly. Leora's council, now fully supportive, openly praised her decision to build stronger ties with Earth. John found himself welcomed warmly among the palace residents, their previous suspicion replaced with admiration. The evening before their departure, John and Leora stood together in the palace gardens. The cool night air was refreshing, and the stars overhead shimmered brightly. Are you ready? John asked softly, looking at Leora with gentle concern. She smiled softly. Yes, though I feel both excitement and fear. Your world sounds fascinating, but so different from mine. It is, John admitted, but that's what makes it special. You'll find things you love about Earth, just as I found things to admire here. She glanced at him, curious. What do you admire most here? John thought carefully before responding. The way your people value unity and harmony. Even when problems arise, your culture promotes peace and understanding. Humans could learn much from your ways. Leora smiled gently, her emerald eyes warm in the soft glow of moonlight. And your world could teach us much about diversity and innovation. Perhaps together we can bring out the best in both. Early the next morning, they boarded the sleek diplomatic ship provided by the council. Ambassador Simmons accompanied them, ensuring the diplomatic mission proceeded smoothly. John took his seat beside Leora, his heart beating fast with excitement and anticipation. The journey to Earth was swift and smooth. Leora watched with fascination as the blue-green planet slowly appeared through the windows of the ship, her eyes widening in wonder. It's beautiful, she whispered, unable to look away. John smiled warmly, sharing her awe. It's even more amazing up close. When they finally landed, a large welcoming party awaited them. Important officials, diplomats, and curious crowds gathered to see the alien princess. Leora stepped out, carrying herself with regal grace. Yet she warmly greeted everyone she met in the following days. Leora attended many official meetings and public events. Everywhere she went, she impressed people with her wisdom, kindness, and genuine curiosity. John remained constantly by her side, helping her navigate the complexities of Earth's politics and culture. One afternoon, they had some rare free time. John took Leora on a walk through a quiet park in the heart of the city. They moved slowly, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere. The sounds of birds, laughter, and gentle breezes surrounded them. Leora glanced at John thoughtfully. "Your world has much beauty, John. I'm grateful to experience it with you." John looked at her sincerely. "I'm glad you feel that way, Princess. Sharing my world with you has been wonderful." "Please, call me Leora," she said softly, her eyes gentle. "We faced danger and adventure together. Formalities seem unnecessary now." "Very well, Leora," John said warmly, smiling at the simplicity and closeness of the moment. Suddenly, a soft sound interrupted them. A group of children playing nearby, laughing joyfully as they chased a colorful ball. Leora paused, watching them closely, her expression brightening with joy. "Children here seem so free and happy," she commented softly. "Their laughter is delightful." John nodded. "They represent the hope and innocence of our world. Protecting and nurturing that innocence is important for our future." Leora nodded slowly, her gaze thoughtful. "Perhaps our two worlds should also focus on that shared future, built on understanding and kindness. Imagine what we could achieve." John smiled gently. "I believe we will, Leora. Together, we can build bridges between our people that last generations." Days passed quickly, filled with official duties and informal explorations. As the mission drew to a close, preparations began for a formal agreement between Earth's leaders and Leora's people. This agreement promised future cooperation, cultural exchanges, and mutual support. On the final evening before their return journey, a grand celebration was held. Leora gave a moving speech, thanking Earth's people for their warmth and hospitality. Her words touched many hearts, solidifying the hope for a brighter future. After the speech, John found Leora standing alone on a quiet balcony, gazing thoughtfully at the city lights below. "You've made a lasting impact here," John said quietly, joining her side. "Our worlds will never be the same." Leora smiled warmly at him. "Neither will we, John. Meeting you has changed my life profoundly. You've shown me true courage and kindness. Whatever comes next, I hope you remain part of it." John met her eyes sincerely. "I promise you, Leora, I'll always be by your side." John and Princess Leora carefully walked through the quiet halls of the palace. The device carrying their important recording was safely hidden in Leora's hand. John's heart beat fast as they approached the ambassador's room. Ambassador Laura Simmons quickly opened the door, her eyes wide with surprise when she saw them together at such a late hour. "What's happened?" she asked, stepping aside quickly to let them in. Leora placed the device on the ambassador's desk, speaking clearly but quietly. "We have evidence of a plot against me, Ambassador Simmons. Lord Varric is planning to harm me and blame John." Ambassador Simmons looked shocked, quickly pressing play to hear the conversation they recorded. As Lord Varric's voice filled the room, her expression grew grim and determined. "We must act quickly," she said firmly. "The council will be difficult to convince without clear proof. We need to present this carefully." Leora nodded seriously. "I trust you to help us, Ambassador. John and I must remain hidden until you speak with the council." "I'll go at once," Ambassador Simmons agreed. "Stay here and remain safe." After the ambassador left, John looked around nervously. The small room felt even smaller with the danger looming so close. He glanced at Leora, noticing her calm expression despite the serious situation. "How are you so calm?" he asked, admiration clear in his voice. Leora smiled softly, her emerald eyes meeting his with warmth. "I trust Ambassador Simmons. She has always shown wisdom, and you are here. You've shown courage and loyalty. That gives me strength." John felt warmth spread through him at her words, and he nodded firmly. "We'll get through this, Princess. I promise." Several tense hours passed, and dawn began to break outside the window. They remained quiet, each lost in thought. Finally, Ambassador Simmons returned, her face tight with concern but determination shining in her eyes. The council listened, and they're very troubled, she reported. They have called for Lord Varric to appear before them immediately. He denies everything, of course, but our evidence is strong. They want both of you to testify. Leora stood, looking confident. We will go now. John followed silently as they walked to the council chambers. The room was grand and filled with high-ranking members of Leora's people. At the center stood Lord Varric, clearly angry and trying to appear calm. The leader of the council, an elderly alien named Elder Talon, spoke with a deep, strong voice. Princess Leora, Ambassador Simmons has presented troubling evidence. Do you stand by this recording? Leora stepped forward confidently. Yes, Elder. John and I personally recorded Lord Varric conspiring against me. His plan was clear. Lord. Varric's eyes blazed angrily. This is a trick! Princess, you disgrace yourself by standing beside a human and accusing your own advisor. Your own words condemn you, Ambassador Simmons said clearly, holding up the recording. No trick, only truth. Elder Talon looked carefully at John. Speak human. Did you truly hear this plot yourself? Yes, Elder, John replied, firmly, meeting the Elder's gaze respectfully. I overheard Lord Varric clearly stating his plan to harm the princess and blame me. The council chamber filled with tense silence. Finally, Elder Talon spoke. We must carefully consider all we have heard. Lord Varric, you will be detained until we reach a decision. As the guards led Lord Varric away, he shouted angrily, You will regret trusting this human. He will destroy our ways. Ignoring his threats, Elder Talon addressed Leora softly. Princess, please remain safely in your chambers until we conclude this investigation. Returning to her quarters, Leora sat heavily, relief evident on her face. John stayed nearby, feeling uncertain but hopeful. Thank you, John, Leora said softly, looking up at him. You have shown bravery and honor beyond any expectation. John smiled warmly. Princess, you made it easy. Your courage inspired mine. They sat quietly for a moment, comforted by each other's presence. As evening approached, Ambassador Simmons visited again, bringing important news. The council has reached its decision, she announced. Lord Varric has been found guilty. His plot was confirmed by additional witnesses who came forward. Your safety is restored, Princess Leora. Leora smiled in relief, gratitude clear in her eyes. John exhaled deeply, feeling the weight of the danger finally lift from his shoulders. But Ambassador Simmons continued cautiously. This event has shown vulnerabilities in our relations. The council has agreed that we must foster closer ties between our peoples. Princess, they ask if you will be willing to lead a diplomatic mission to Earth. Leora's eyes brightened. She glanced at John, excitement clearly visible. Yes, Ambassador, I would be honored. John, would you help me understand your world better? John smiled warmly, nodding eagerly. I'd be honored, Princess. Together, we'll bridge the gap between our worlds. John slowly began to adjust to his new life in the palace. Each day, he looked forward to speaking with Princess Leora, discovering more about her culture, and sharing details of his own world. Their conversations brought a sense of peace and normality to the unusual situation he found himself in. Still, John knew he was being watched carefully, and he never forgot that he was a guest under supervision. One evening, after dinner, John took a walk in the gardens surrounding his quarters. The palace gardens were lush, filled with plants he had never seen before. Their colors were vibrant, glowing softly under the moonlight. He breathed deeply, appreciating the fresh scent that filled the air. While walking along a narrow path, John heard faint voices from a nearby grove of tall, silver-leaf trees. Curious, he moved quietly toward the sound, trying not to be seen. He stood hidden behind a large plant, listening carefully as two figures spoke urgently in hushed tones. Must move quickly, one voice whispered harshly. John recognized it immediately as belonging to Lord Varric. one of the advisors he briefly encountered during his initial meeting with Ambassador Simmons. Yes, agreed another voice nervously. The princess's friendship with this human complicates everything. The council is becoming suspicious. John's heart raced. They were clearly discussing Princess Leora and himself, and something about their conversation felt dangerous. He leaned in closer, determined to hear every word. Once we remove Leora, the council will have no choice but to support our plan. The human will make a convenient scapegoat, Varric said coldly. The words chilled John deeply. They planned to harm Leora and blame it on him. He knew he had to warn her quickly, but he didn't dare move until the conspirators finished their discussion and left. Once he was sure they were gone, John hurried back through the garden, his thoughts frantic. He had to find Leora immediately. Racing through the corridors, he reached the princess's private chamber. 2 guards stood watch at her door, eyeing him suspiciously as he approached. I must speak to Princess Leora. It's urgent. John pleaded breathlessly. The guards hesitated, clearly uncertain. Finally, one nodded and stepped inside to announce him. Moments later, the door opened wider, and Princess Leora appeared, looking concerned. John, what's happened? She asked, motioning him quickly inside as soon as they were alone. John spoke quickly, recounting everything he had overheard in the garden. Leora's eyes widened with shock as she listened. Lord Varric? She whispered in disbelief. He's always been loyal. He is planning to remove you and blame it on me. He believes this will force your council to support his plans. John explained urgently. Leora sat quietly, processing this disturbing revelation. She seemed stunned and saddened, yet her expression quickly hardened into determination. We must be cautious, John, she said finally. If they learn we know their plan, it could put us in even greater danger. Then what can we do? John asked anxiously. Leora stood slowly, moving to look out the window thoughtfully. After a long moment, she turned back, her emerald eyes resolute. We will need proof. Without evidence, my council won't act against someone as powerful as Lord Varric. Can you remember exactly where and when you heard their conversation? Yes, John replied quickly. I can show you the spot. Good. Tomorrow, we will carefully watch Lord Varric's movements and look for more evidence. For now, stay close to me and remain calm. We must not let him suspect anything. John nodded firmly, feeling relief at her composure and clear thinking. The sense of danger was overwhelming, yet he felt strangely secure standing beside Leora. The following day passed slowly as John and Leora discreetly observed Lord Varric from a distance. They noticed how he frequently met in private with the same individuals John had seen in the garden. Each meeting seemed to confirm their suspicions, yet they lacked undeniable proof. As evening approached, Leora devised a risky plan. They would secretly record Varric's next private meeting. It was dangerous, but necessary. That night, hidden carefully behind an ornate wall decoration in the same grove, John and Leora waited silently, hearts pounding as they heard footsteps. Approach, Lord Varric and his conspirator arrived, speaking clearly of their scheme to harm the princess. Every word was captured on Leora's recording device. The conspirators left unaware of the crucial mistake they'd made. John and Leora returned quickly to her chambers, where they listened to the recording again, ensuring they had what they needed. The princess turned to John, her expression grateful yet solemn. Thank you, John, she whispered sincerely. You've risked much to protect me. Now we must bring this evidence to Ambassador Simmons and my council. Together, we will expose this conspiracy and end it once and for all. John sat in a small room, feeling uneasy as he waited. The room was plain and had little more than a single chair and a small table. It was clearly designed for security rather than comfort. He shifted nervously, replaying the embarrassing encounter. In his mind, hoping desperately that everything would be cleared up soon. After what felt like hours, the door finally opened, and Ambassador Laura Simmons stepped inside. Laura was known to be calm, wise, and skilled at solving delicate situations, which gave John a small sense of relief. Double quotes, "Hello, John." Laura greeted him warmly, her voice reassuring. "I've spoken with Princess Leora, and I've confirmed your explanation. Still, this situation is quite complicated." John nodded, feeling grateful but still concerned. "Ambassador Simmons, I'm truly sorry for the trouble I've caused. I didn't mean any harm." Laura smiled gently, sitting opposite him. "I understand. Unfortunately, not everyone sees it that way. The Princess's Council is very protective of her dignity. This incident has sparked significant tension between our peoples." John's heart sank. "Is there anything I can do to make things right?" Laura sighed softly. "For now, the princess has agreed to keep you under close watch within the palace grounds. She seems quite curious about you, which might help us resolve things more smoothly. But you must be careful and respectful at all times." John nodded quickly. "Absolutely. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this." Shortly afterward, John was escorted to a modest room in another part of the palace, much more comfortable than his previous holding area. Though still under guard, he felt slightly better about his surroundings. The next day, there was a quiet knock at his door. When John opened it, he found Princess Leora standing outside, her expression calm but curious. She was dressed elegantly, her eyes thoughtful as they studied him. "May I come in?" she asked politely. "Of course, Princess," John answered, quickly stepping aside. Leora walked in, taking a careful look around. "Your quarters are acceptable?" "Yes, thank you," John replied sincerely. "I appreciate your kindness and understanding." She paused briefly before turning to him, her eyes filled with questions. "Tell me about your world, John. I know very little about humans beyond formal diplomatic exchanges." John hesitated, surprised by her request, but eager to bridge the gap between them. He started speaking softly, describing Earth, the cities, oceans, mountains, and various cultures. As he talked, Leora listened intently, her fascination evident. "You have no single unified ruler?" she asked, clearly intrigued by his description of Earth's many nations and governments. "No," John explained carefully. "We have many countries, each with its own leadership. It can be challenging, but it allows for diversity and different ways of thinking." Leora nodded slowly. "My people believe unity under a single ruler brings peace and stability. Yet, I have sometimes wondered if it also limits growth." John smiled faintly. "There's always something to learn from each other. Humans and your people might benefit greatly from sharing our experiences." Leora's expression softened further, her emerald eyes thoughtful. "Perhaps you're right. Yet, misunderstandings are common between our cultures. Your accidental intrusion yesterday was a perfect example." John's face reddened slightly at the memory. "I promise it was an honest mistake. I never intended to disrespect you." She smiled faintly, amused by his embarrassment. "I believe you, John. Your honesty was clear. That's why I've intervened personally, ensuring your protection." Feeling relieved, John looked at her gratefully. "Thank you again, Princess. Your support means a lot." Leora nodded slightly. "In return, you must teach me more about your world. We rarely have genuine contact with outsiders, and you offer a unique chance for understanding." John agreed eagerly. Over the next few days, he spent much of his time sharing stories with the princess. Each conversation deepened their mutual respect and curiosity, gradually transforming their initial awkwardness into a comfortable, genuine friendship. Despite the growing trust, John remained cautious, aware of the political tension simmering beneath the surface. Each interaction with Leora was a careful balance, but her sincere curiosity about humanity inspired him. He found himself increasingly looking forward to their meetings. Meanwhile, whispers began spreading through the palace. Rumors of jealousy and suspicion about the human who had somehow earned the princess's favor circulated among the royal court. Unbeknownst to John, these whispers would soon give rise to a more dangerous threat, one he could never have imagined Dot as. The days passed. John enjoyed the peace of his temporary sanctuary, unaware of the dark clouds gathering on the horizon, ready to test the newfound friendship and trust he and Princess Leora had carefully built. John Carter looked around the corridor nervously. This was his first assignment on an alien spaceship, and everything felt strange and confusing. The walls were glowing gently with soft lights, casting a faint, calming glow that did little to ease his nerves. His job was simple enough: fix a communication relay that had malfunctioned. But navigating the massive ship was proving harder than he had imagined. He glanced at the directions displayed on his handheld screen, shaking his head slightly in confusion. According to the map, the malfunctioning relay should be right ahead. He moved forward carefully, his heart pounding in his chest as he approached the grand-looking door. The entrance had intricate markings etched into its surface, unlike any he'd seen elsewhere on the ship. Taking a deep breath, John pressed a glowing panel near the door, expecting it to open into some maintenance room. Instead, the door hissed softly as it opened, revealing a beautifully decorated chamber. He stepped inside, confused by the luxurious fabrics draping the walls, golden ornaments sparkling under gentle light, and an atmosphere clearly intended for someone important. "Hello?" John called softly, looking around the room with growing worry. "Is anyone here?" A gentle rustling noise came from behind a translucent curtain at the far end of the chamber. Before John could fully process the situation, the curtain shifted suddenly, and a figure stepped out. John froze, stunned, as he came face to face with Princess Leora, completely naked and clearly unprepared for his sudden intrusion. Her emerald eyes widened sharply, her skin flushing a delicate shade of pink in shock. For a moment, neither of them moved, both equally paralyzed by the unexpected encounter. John quickly averted his gaze, his face burning with embarrassment. I'm so sorry. I thought this was the relay room." "I didn't mean—" Princess Leora quickly grabbed a shimmering claw from a nearby stand, hastily wrapping it around her slender figure. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice strong but trembling slightly. John kept his eyes firmly on the floor, doing his best to avoid looking up. "My name is John Carter. I'm a technician from Earth. I was sent to fix a broken relay, and I think I made a mistake." Before he could finish explaining, an alarm sounded softly, and two royal guards rushed into the room, weapons drawn. Seeing John standing awkwardly in the princess's private chambers, their expressions turned fierce and protective. "Intruder!" shouted one of the guards. Stepping forward aggressively, John quickly raised his hands in surrender, his heart pounding harder. "Wait, this is all a misunderstanding. I didn't mean to—" "Silence!" barked the guard, cutting him off harshly. "How dare you invade the privacy of Princess Leora?" Princess Leora, now fully composed and dignified, raised her hand slightly, stopping the guards from moving closer. "Hold on. Let him speak," she commanded quietly. The guards hesitated, clearly unhappy, but obedient to the princess's command. John slowly looked up, meeting the princess's curious yet wary gaze. "Please," John pleaded, desperation clear in his voice. "Check my assignment. I swear, I'm just here to fix a malfunctioning relay. I would never intentionally disrespect you or your privacy." Princess Leora studied him thoughtfully, her emerald eyes sharp yet understanding. She moved closer, examining the handheld device he was holding out. The guards remained tense, ready to leap at any sign of trouble. After a moment, Leora's expression softened slightly. "He seems to be telling the truth," she announced gently. "This area was recently redesigned. The maps might not have been updated." The guards looked uncertain, but slowly lowered their weapons. John exhaled deeply, relief flooding through him. "Still," Leora continued firmly, looking back at John, "you must understand the seriousness of this mistake. My quarters are private, and your intrusion is considered a grave offense." John nodded earnestly, feeling deeply ashamed. "I understand, Princess. I'm terribly sorry." It was never my intention to cause you any distress. Princess Leora considered him carefully, her expression unreadable. Finally, she turned to the guards. Escort him to a secure area until we can confirm his story fully. Ensure he is unharmed, but closely watched. The guards bowed sharply, moving forward to take John's arms gently but firmly. John glanced at Princess Leora one last time, gratitude clear in his eyes. "Thank you," he said softly, sincerity evident in his voice. Leora nodded slightly, her eyes holding a thoughtful curiosity as she watched him leave her chambers. The doors closed behind him, leaving her standing alone, pondering this unusual human who had unintentionally disrupted her life in the most awkward yet intriguing way possible.